extraordinary interview tonight. Prince Harry has spoken candidly about the breakdown of his relationship with his father and other members of the royal family.
The second Charles takes his last breath, everything Harry and Meghan have bled and fought will crumble. Within 24 hours, their entire world will be unrecognizable. William has been waiting for this moment for a very long time. He already had all his moves set, and the destruction will not stop at Harry and Meghan. Archie and Lilibet will be pulled under with them. Here are 12 things that will be ripped away from Harry and Meghan within 24 hours of Charles leaving this world. And not one of them can be stopped, reversed, or saved. The title architecture collapses. William does not need a courtroom, a confrontation, or even a single conversation with Harry to dismantle everything Charles spent years quietly holding together. He needs one document, and that document is called Letters Patent, a royal decree that carries the absolute force of sovereign power and can rewrite the legal landscape of the monarchy before Harry even lands in London. Within the first 24 hours of Charles's death, William is expected to fire off new letters patent drawing a hard line between working royals and everyone else. The titles His Royal Highness and Her Royal Highness will get ripped from every official document, every state record, every palace entry that still carries their names. What makes this so savage is that William's legal team will not be scrambling to put anything together in a panic. Palace sources say they already spent years in the dark, carefully and coldly engineering the exact legal language that would survive any counterattack Harry could ever dream of launching from California. Every Netflix deal, every Archewell board meeting, every room that opens for Harry and Meghan exists because the world still connects them to the crown. The moment that connection is legally destroyed, every single one of those doors starts slamming shut. Who exactly is going to write million-dollar checks to a former soldier and his wife that the palace has officially declared irrelevant? The children's royal identity. When Charles became king in 2022, his grandchildren were automatically elevated under a century-old royal rule called the George V Convention. Archie became Prince Archie, and Lilibet became Princess Lilibet. For Harry and Meghan, those titles are everything. They are proof that their children still belong to something real, even after their parents had publicly torched their relationship with the institution. But what William will do to them is almost elegant in its brutality. He is expected to simply release a court circular that omits the HRH styling for the Sussex children entirely, and that one quiet omission will become the verdict. Just like that, Archie drops to the Earl of Dumbarton and Lilibet becomes Lady Mountbatten Windsor. Both children will grow up with royal blood running through their veins, yet no title, no standing, and no place in the royal hierarchy to show for it. Now think about what that means for Meghan specifically. She fought ferociously to lock in those prince and princess titles before Charles's coronation. Meghan clashed repeatedly and bitterly with palace officials in heated exchanges that were fully documented and witnessed by multiple people. But within 24 hours of William taking the throne, every single thing she fought for gets torn away like it never happened at all. And if Harry drags this into a British court like he's expected to, the trap springs shut on him instantly. How does a man who publicly and loudly rejected royal life stand before a British judge and demand that his children receive the exact royal identity he threw in the bin? The loss of the Duchy of Cornwall financial shield. Most people assume Harry and Meghan bankroll their Montecito life purely from Netflix deals and book advances. But the reality is far more uncomfortable than that. For years, the Duchy of Cornwall, a royal estate generating millions annually, quietly bankrolled significant portions of Harry's existence. The moment Charles dies, the duchy transfers entirely to William. And William has zero legal obligation, zero moral obligation, and clearly zero emotional desire to redirect a single pound toward his brother. Within hours of the accession, a financial audit will tear through every informal arrangement Charles quietly maintained. Royal financial advisors who spoke anonymously to journalists say that audit will be brutal. And what is about to land in Harry's lap is nothing short of terrifying. His private security arrangements alone burns through several millions of dollars every single year, and that bill is not going away anytime soon. On top of that, active legal battles are bleeding him dry in both British and American courts at the same time. For years, his entire lifestyle rested on the silent assumption that royal money would always be humming somewhere in the background, quietly absorbing costs that most people never even knew existed. That safety net will be gone once Charles dies, and Harry is about to find out exactly what everything costs when there is nobody left to cover it but him. Frogmore Cottage and the UK base. Frogmore Cottage is not just a house. It is physical proof that no matter how bad things get between the Sussexes and the royal family, a place in Britain still exists that belongs to them, like a last door that has never been permanently shut. But under King William, that door will be torn off its hinges entirely, and the opening it once offered will be sealed for good. Within the first 24 hours, a formal review of all grace and favor residences on the Crown Estate is expected to be triggered. The legal standard for occupancy requires the resident to be either a working royal or someone with an active, formal relationship with the palace. Harry and Meghan fail both tests completely. The detail that almost never gets reported is that Frogmore sat empty and unused for 3 full years, while the Crown Estate quietly absorbed the upkeep costs, even as Harry and Meghan were publicly condemning the institution in interviews and documentaries. Palace insiders called the arrangement constitutionally indefensible for years, so when Harry and Meghan fly to London for Charles's funeral, they will be expected to check into a hotel. There will be no family home, no royal residence, and no place in Britain that will be theirs anymore. State-funded security. No battle Harry has fought since stepping back has been more desperate or more emotionally raw than his war for British police protection. He has argued in court repeatedly that his security situation in the United Kingdom is uniquely dangerous, and those cases are still actively running. But here is what changes the moment Charles stops breathing. While Charles was alive, Harry had one powerful argument holding his legal cases together. He was the son of the reigning monarch, and that connection to the crown created a unique security obligation that was very difficult for the palace to simply dismiss. The moment Charles dies, that argument dies with him. Harry is no longer the son of the monarch. He becomes the non-working brother of a king who has made his feelings about Harry crystal clear, and that shift in status fatally destroys the legal ground every single one of his active cases is standing on. The body responsible for royal security, known as RAVEC, will be expected to trigger a formal review the moment the new accession begins. And Harry's private security contractors cannot even legally carry firearms in the United Kingdom, leaving him completely exposed in a country where he has received multiple credible death threats. Military uniform and ceremony. Harry served 2 combat tours in Afghanistan. He earned his wings and wore his uniform with a pride that ran deeper than ceremony. By his own account, his military identity was the only part of royal life that felt genuinely earned rather than handed to him. Under King William, the right to wear military uniform at state occasions will be entirely the sovereign's to grant or snatch away. The preview of what is coming was delivered at Queen Elizabeth's funeral, and it was excruciating to watch. Harry was forced to attend the vigil in a plain mourning suit, while every other male royal stood in full ceremonial dress, medals and gold braid gleaming under the abbey lights. A decorated combat veteran stood in civilian clothes next to men who had never heard a shot fired in their lives. And under William, that humiliation is expected to become the permanent, constitutionally locked rule. The Councillors of State role. Most people have never heard of the Councillors of State, but inside the British constitutional framework, the role is enormous. Councillors of State are senior royals designated to step in and act on behalf of the sovereign when the monarch is abroad or incapacitated. Harry currently sits on this list purely because of his birth order and proximity to the line of succession. Within the first 24 hours of his reign, William is expected to formally recommend to Parliament that the legislation be updated with an explicit United Kingdom residency requirement. And with that single parliamentary recommendation, Harry will be cut out of the statutory legal framework that gives senior royals their constitutional standing altogether. And what is Harry left with after that? Well, he remains in the line of succession technically, but as one constitutional scholar once put it with devastating precision, the line of succession is less a position of power and more a waiting list. Harry's name will sit in it the way a name gathers dust in an old phone directory, present, unreachable, and completely irrelevant to every single person making real decisions about the future of the crown. The protocol cold shoulder. In the British monarchy, where you physically stand, tells the entire story. The placement of royals at state events is a precise, publicly readable verdict on your institutional standing, and everyone in that room understands exactly what it means. The first 24 hours of William's reign will trigger the activation of Operation Menai Bridge, the code name for all protocols surrounding the death of a monarch. The Earl Marshal and the College of Arms is convened immediately, and the Accession Council will gather at St. James's Palace. In every single one of these settings, Harry and Meghan's position will be deliberately and coldly defined. The couple will be kept out of the inner circle. They will not walk in the main procession behind the coffin through the streets of London. Instead, they will be directed to a vehicle while working royals march on foot before the watching world. Their seat in the chapel will be visible but positioned firmly outside the family circle that matters. There are rooms they will not even be permitted to enter. In photographs, Harry and Meghan will stand slightly behind the others, and everyone watching will immediately understand what that positioning means. The royal website and official record. The British royal family's official website functions as a living constitutional document that reflects in real time exactly who the palace recognizes and at what level. Within hours of the accession, Harry and Meghan are expected to be dragged out of the working members section and dumped into a legacy category, positioned below the Princess Royal, below the Duke of Kent, in a digital space that acknowledges their existence without granting them any relevance. Their HRH styling will vanish from every new official publication, and the court circular will stop carrying their names in any active capacity. In the palace's own language, they cease to exist as operational figures. Why does this matter so ferociously? Because that palace website is the first thing every booking agency, every corporate sponsor, and every media partner checks when they research Harry and Meghan. The moment it reclassifies them, that decision ripples outward and affects every related area almost immediately. And there is one detail that almost nobody discusses. Once the palace officially strips Meghan of any royal standing, even her argument that the institution brutalized her loses its force. Meghan will no longer be a duchess the palace wronged and discarded. She is simply a woman the palace no longer acknowledges exists. Access to the royal archives and institutions. The British Royal Archives hold centuries of private letters, internal documents, and records that trace the complete story of every member of the House of Windsor. As the son of the king, Harry still has family access that lets him reach into those records, pull out private correspondence, and build his own story against the official historical backdrop. That access is expected to be yanked away the moment Charles is gone. Under King William, access to the royal archives for non-working family members is entirely at the sovereign's discretion, and William has absolutely no obligation to give Harry anything. The royal muse, the royal collection, the royal travel infrastructure, all of it will be quietly and completely cut off within the first 24 hours. So if Harry wants to view the royal art collection after that, he will have to book a public ticket like any tourist off the street. The deeper consequence of this should terrify Harry more than almost anything else on this list. He wrote a memoir specifically to seize control of his own historical narrative before the palace could weaponize the official record against him. But the archive he drew on to do it will never open for him again. And without that access, Harry's version of events becomes an increasingly isolated story that the palace can chip away at every single time he opens his mouth. The Sussex office shuts down. For years, Harry and Meghan have kept a small but critical royal household presence in the United Kingdom. A skeletal office still handles their correspondence, coordinates charitable work, and maintains a direct formal line to the palace. Within the first day of William's reign, the Sussex Liaison Office is expected to be shut down completely. It will be one of his first moves as king, a ruthless efficiency review of the royal households that leaves no room for an operation built around two people he regards as private individuals. But what that office means for Harry and Meghan goes far deeper than paperwork. It is the address that proves they still have a formal footprint on British soil. It is the back channel to the palace that no Netflix deal and no American PR firm can ever replicate. Without it, they cannot use official channels to correspond with the British government or Commonwealth organizations in any capacity whatsoever. What Archewell looks like once that last institutional thread connecting it to the crown has been severed and buried is the real question, and it is one the world will be watching very closely. The option of return. Charles has made it clear through intermediaries over the years that he has not completely written his son off, that some fragile possibility of reunion still flickered, however low. For Harry, whatever his loud public declarations about freedom and chosen exile, that flickering flame still matters in ways he can never fully say out loud. It means the separation is still a choice, and choices can always be unmade. William is expected to kill that flame within the first 24 hours with the crushing, cumulative weight of everything set in motion the moment he takes the throne. William will not be doing this purely out of rage. He will be doing it because he understands that ambiguity is a direct threat to institutional stability, and Harry and Meghan drifting in a half-royal, half-civilian space represents the most dangerous ambiguity the palace has faced in a generation. So the bridge between the Sussexes and the House of Windsor will be completely demolished, and the future drawn up without a single space left for them anywhere on the map. Charles is still the last warmth standing between the Sussexes and that reality. And once the warmth is gone, what is coming will be cold, permanent, and completely irreversible.